Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to DANDADAN episode 7. I know it's late and I'm terribly sorry for that, but had some things come up, had to visit a couple of doctors, and everything's fine, just, so you know, but didn't really have much time to record earlier. But yeah, we are here with episode 7, which is apparently like super fucking big and super fucking hype from what I've seen. I had to avoid spoilers to this episode like crazy. They were everywhere on Twitter, on Reddit, on fucking Facebook, everywhere, in every single fucking social media. I did manage to avoid them though. Every time I would see the mention of DANDADAN, I would just scroll past. Every time I would see like a video with, I don't know, with Momo's face or something, I would scroll past. I made it. I made it to this point. The only thing that I know is that we're gonna get the backstory on the acrobatic Silky, which was essentially a given because we got some backstory on Turbo Baba. So, and the acrobatic Silky was also hinted at as being, the sort of a being that is created through some sort of an event, so it would make sense that we would learn about that event. So not really much of a spoiler, hopefully, but everything else is, as always, completely blind. Another little tidbit of housekeeping. I wonder if you noticed, because I certainly did in the OBS preview window I have on the other screen. I was wondering for quite some time now, why is the image in my camera looking so like waxy and kind of like blurred and soft, and it shouldn't be looking like that because it's a good camera, it's a webcam, but it's an Elgato whatever, so it should be native 1080p at 60 FPS, but it didn't look like 1080p. Then I went into the settings and I noticed that what's it called? Noise reduction is turned on, and I turned it off, and now the image is sharp again. I don't know if there is any noise. Actually, I can't see anything in the OBS, but it's not the newest monitor. It's still like TFT and kind of yellowing by now, so maybe I can see that. But you guys, let me know in the comments. Does it look better? Does this camera image look better, or does it actually show noise and it bothers you? If so, then I'm gonna turn back the noise suppression, noise cancelling, or whatever it's called, noise reduction. Yeah. Sadly, there's no slider to it where I could say more noise reduction or less noise reduction, just on or off. So it's either gonna be like the previous videos or like this video. I don't know. I like this look, but you let me know in the comments. And yeah, with that housekeeping done, I guess we can talk about the previous episode, what happened exactly. Well, in the previous episode, Aira got it into her head that, well, first of all, Momo and Okarun went to look for his balls. But, as Turbo Granny said, they were probably taken by someone, not necessarily by a ghost. Ghosts and spirits are attracted to those balls because they have a lot of spiritual energy within them, because Turbo Baba like surrounded them in a golden shell of spiritual energy. But they are also very very appealing to humans because it's a ball made of gold, and I'm gonna call you back, sorry. It's a ball that looks like it's made of gold. And even if it's not gold, even if it's like brass or something, I mean, I would like to have a bowl like that somewhere in my like shelf or somewhere, right? I'm not afraid to say that. But yeah, apparently it was not, as it turned out later, of course, it was not indeed a spirit who took it, but rather, that's good, I think, but rather a human, Aira, that we've already met in the previous episode, who wanted to get Okarun all for herself, who's the prettiest girl at school, and the best, and the smartest, but most importantly, the prettiest and also the most humble. He found his bowl, and because of that, apparently, she was able to see Momo using her telekinetic arms to throw the bowl, the basin, or whatever on her head, and now she firmly believes that Momo is a demon with a single demon wing, like motherfucking Sephiroth. And she took it upon herself to exorcise her because she got a sign from God or from the world or from whatever that the golden bowl, she's the chosen one. Precisely because she's the prettiest girl, she was chosen on that merit alone, and now she must get rid of the evil spirits. She procured a cross that turned out to be a lighter later on. She procured a, not even a Bible, just some sort of an exorcism book in German, and invited Momo to some abandoned factory and tried to exorcise her with two of her goons who held Momo down as Aira rubbed the golden ball on Momo's face. So, yeah, that's how it went. Of course, the exorcism did not work. What happened instead, though, was Okarun rushing in with Turbo Baba because Turbo Baba noticed a shady woman. That shady woman was not Aira, though. It was acrobatic Sara, acrobatic Silky stalking after Aira. Humans are basically invisible to the paranormal, just as the paranormal is invisible to regular humans. If you see ghosts, ghosts see you. And Aira sees ghosts now because of the bowl. So ghosts see her, including the acrobatic Silky. She really wanted Aira to call her mommy, and she was willing to vor her to that end. I don't know how it was supposed to help in Aira calling her mommy. She can't really do that from inside of her stomach, but I guess she was simply too fed up and decided that if you're not gonna call me mommy, then I'm gonna vor you. Which is a sentence, to be sure. If you're not gonna call me mommy, then I'm gonna bore you. Jesus Christ. But that's exactly what happened. Then Momo tried to fight her, but unfortunately, Silky turned out to be too strong. Okarun tried to fight her, but he wasn't strong enough either. So Silky vored Okarun first. Then she vored Momo as well, but she vored Momo after a bit of bondage, which wrapped Silky's hair around Momo. She swallowed her together with her hair. Momo had the cross in hand, though, that turned out to be a lighter, some sort of a Zippo, and she lit the hair on fire, which made the Silky spit them all out. So they are saved. Not quite, they still have to defeat it. The Silky is angry now, and they're gonna have to find a way to get rid of it somehow. I wonder what's the method gonna be of fighting her. Like direct confrontation, probably not the way. The Silky has already shown that he's a fair bit stronger than Momo and Okarun, so probably not how it's gonna go, even with the help of Turbo Baba's luck. And I guess this fight is also gonna set up a bit of a precedent, maybe, into how do we fight spirits exactly. Do we just apply a tone of violence and subterfuge to defeat them, or do we go for the angle of let's resolve their earthly ties and their regrets on this planet so that they can go in peace, right? Those are usually like the two ways of dealing with spirits in many stories. You either spray them with holy water, drive a stake through their hearts, and move them out into open sun all the while chanting the Lord's Prayer, or you call them mommy and they disappear because their desire has been fulfilled, right? Could be either of those. We'll see which one it is exactly. And we're gonna see that in this episode, right? Probably. What I think is gonna happen is we're gonna learn about the Silky's origin, Silky's past. Maybe just as viewers, maybe everybody present. Ideally, everybody present, but that's not a given. And we're gonna use that somehow to get rid of the Silky, right? Like, if the Silky has been created, has been born of the regret of losing a child, or I don't know, not being able to conceive a child, or something like that, then that could maybe be solved by just calling her mommy, giving her something that she so desired, so that she no longer has any earthly regrets and can go back to where she belongs, right? Or it could be, I don't know. I mean, that is most likely scenario, I think, because raw strength, raw power is not enough, clearly. So we're gonna have to resort to, I think, cutting Silky's ties with this life, physical world to let her go. Something like that is probably happened. That's my bet. But we'll see what's gonna happen exactly in this episode. And to do that, we're gonna have to watch it, of course. And to do that, you're gonna need your subs to follow along with me. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show, and I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word, it costs you nothing and helps a lot. And with that, we can start watching DANDADAN episode 7 in 3, 2, 1, go. Is that the backstory? That sounds like Silky's voice. Vaguely. Yeah, that was the rags that the woman Ira saw in the past was wearing, right? So that woman, whoever she was, became Silky. Was she actually Ira's mother, though? Well, get out in the open first. Dimwit winner boy. Okay, so distract her by running away with Ira so she doesn't go after Momo. Yeah, that's a plan. Yeah, the Silky has an edge there. For sure. Okarun is a good runner, but not a great acrobat. Ballet feet. Talk about an overbearing mother. Hmm? Your hair isn't long enough? Oh! Yeah, I mean, that works. They kinda did. Perhaps not for long, but they certainly did. Music's picking up. Oh, you can control your telekinesis now? Yeah, that's a plan. Oh, she's gonna rip her hair. uh, okay, so he needs, like, a emotional impulse to be able to use full throttle. Oh, she was able to rip the telekinesis. There we go. Momo's safety was at stake, so of course Okarun was able to go full throttle. Make sure the job's done. Yeah, I mean, action, reaction, right? Yeah, good idea. Still probably a good idea to get rid of her, though. Also probably a good idea. There's plenty of shrapnel around. You could probably find like a piece of glass or metal and cut the zip tie. No. Oh, she did. I thought that maybe the Silky has it now. Oh! Huh! Amazing moment for the opening. Ira's dead. Let's vibe to creepy nuts. Let's listen to Pikmin vibing. Apparently, the Pikmin vibing is a sample taken from some old song and sped up and pitched up. I have the original posted on my Discord if you're curious. I don't think Vaira's dead, is she? It's more likely that something like the Silky has her soul now, and you have to rip out her soul and put it back in her body. Or maybe Ira became like entangled with the ball, and she needs to have the ball with her to be alive. Right? Something like that. Kind of like, spoilers, Madoka Magica, right? Kind of like that, maybe. That's how you check the pulse. Human body in peril can cut off blood from limbs and focus it only on the core. That's why you check pulse here and not here. Yeah, that's an idea. What about breathing? Okay, full CPR. I love how she's squinting her eyes looking at the smartphone. Oh, she's still alive. Oh. Oh! The way Okarun got Turbo Granny's powers, Aira's gonna get Silky's powers. Right? Now I can't eat her. Yeah, she's devoted if nothing else. Hmm. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah? The limit is 2 times a day, something like that. Ah, that's a cool transformation. Yeah, like connecting two cars' batteries. Yeah, the aura, her aura is quite small, but it's still there, meaning there's still some sliver of life inside of her. Or at least her soul hasn't left the body yet. And that's how we get the origin of the Silky, because Aira gets her memories, right? Yeah, that's gotta be it. Mm, I'm assuming she doesn't just leave the money on the bedside just like that. So, probably a prostitute whose real passion is acrobatics and ballet, but she couldn't make it as an acrobat, so she had to resort to selling her body. And Ira was the only person to show her any sort of kindness, something like that. Probably something like that. Hesitating, so I was about to say someone's waiting for her, and she was stealing herself. That's a good looking child design. The gap tooth and everything. Hmm. Yeah, doing everything for her daughter, taking any sort of job, supporting her, of course, in acrobatics, working like 3 different jobs. Shoes a bit too big. Hand me downs from her? Or bought with like future in mind? Right? Being frugal. Instead of buying her new shoes every year because she's growing a lot, buy her shoes that she's gonna grow into when she can like go learn, study ballet and acrobatics at like acrobatic school or whatever. Yeah? I'm reminded of Shy a lot actually. Pepesha and her mother. Amazing music. Ballet dress. Yeah, growing steadily. Hmm. So what's gonna happen? A tragic death? CPS taking the daughter away? I love how everything, all of those scenes are spinning around. Again, ballet is like the main theme here. Everything's spinning. Well-worn shoes. It's not a fad, she's been training a lot. Debt collectors, right? Or the pimp? No reaction from neighbors, no nothing. Probably a shady area. Dead? Or just exhausted? Not dead yet. That's the scene we've seen at the beginning, isn't it? That's the exact same scene. Or at least the same environment. And is that when Ira showed her kindness? Or. Or she died? Yeah, that looks a lot like Afterlife. Hovering over the city. Damn, the music's good. Okay, so she's already undead? Or. Yeah, it was Ira mistaking her for her mother? Yeah. Is she a ghost? Or is her father gonna be able to see her? Dead. Hmm. a girl who lost her mother and a mother who lost her girl. Match made in heaven, really. Or in the afterworld, at least. How was she able to see her, though? Is it a thing where children can see ghosts? Or has she been special even before touching the ball? Yeah, that's a classic origin for a being like the Silky. No. Yeah, she's a tragic character ultimately. She no longer has aura. So, yeah. And also that. Oh, she's leaving the regrets behind. Hmm. So, no afterlife. Well, at least it's not eternal damnation. Hmm. Ira's gonna call her mommy. Yeah? You were doing a lot. Hug and mommy. Yeah? Yeah, that's gonna do the trick. Yeah? Probably the best kind of ending we could have hoped for, honestly. And now we can vibe to music again. uh, it's always such a contrast when a show ends with like a character tragically dying and then the ending plays and it's like super fucking boppy poppy song. Many shows do it better actually, where they just play a different song at the end. It's something you can do. Yeah, I always like it when there's some sort of a dramatic moment ending the episode. and the ending is like maybe black screen with the credits and the music, or maybe like scenes from the life of that person, right? Like family photos or something like that shown, right? I always like that. Too bad they didn't do that in this case. I really was kind of hoping for that, like showing little vignettes from her life and some nice piano music, right? Would have been much better than this ED. And that is a bunch of spoilers. So I'm gonna pause it right here. Yeah, well, that was an episode, wasn't it? Let's watch it again, shall we? Uh, yeah, this ties in perfectly to the scene we've seen of the Silky running afterwards, and basically a direct confirmation that it's her in that vision. And makes sense that she would react that way, right? Give her back. She has memories of her child also being taken away, and she sees Okarun holding her as stealing her daughter again, reliving her traumas, essentially. This is a very nice detail that they're not doing some fancy stuff like her levitating just off the ground or anything like that. No, she's a ballerina, right? She's an acrobat. She's gonna do the ballerina stance. Of course she is. On just the tips of her toes. Cool. Great attention to detail. Tied with her hair. Cool. But yeah, she's desperate. She's gonna destroy the entire building if that means she can break free. She's gonna rip her hair off if it means that she can get to Aira. She's going to stop at nothing. The whole flashback vision scene really recontextualized the entire episode, didn't it? Right, like the first part, what we're watching right here, was a fun, dynamic combat, right? Yeah, whoop her ass kind of thing, right? But then, let's not whoop her ass. Maybe let's help her. Let's save her, right? I like it. Here's like another genre to add on the top of all the genres that DANDADAN already has. Tragedy. Why not? Let's pile all the genres on. Why don't we? Yeah, now we take pity on her. She's not just a mindless ghost, a mindless enemy, just a monster that needs defeated, right? She's so much more than that. And I like it. I really, really do like that they don't have just a like mindless battle shonen approach to this, right? Like they're not doing just spirits are enemies. We must kill spirits. And it's just, killing spirits and whatnot, right? Every single foe is individual, is special, has a backstory, right? I like it. And nothing is cut and dry, black and white. Turbo Granny wasn't, certainly. Momo's and Okarun's actions at the beginning wasn't, certainly. Silky is not cut and dry, black or white either. Everything has shades of grey. Cool. I like it. I really do like the fact that we stop and think about what's happening, about the foes we're facing. That's good. That's really good. And I love Turbo Granny. Yeah, we can get the golden ball, and she's dead. Apparently. OPOP. Dead. To a kinder world, yeah? Basically. An ordinary human eaten by a yokai will die. Right, she was eaten, true. I did not think it counts as, eating, right? Like she wasn't chewed up and swallowed, she was just swallowed by her. But apparently, yeah, that kills a human. It just happened that someone with psychic powers and someone with my spiritual powers were spared. Right. Okay, so if you have any sort of spiritual powers, you can like defend yourself from that being swallowed or whatever. But Aira doesn't have her own powers. She only like barely borrows Okaruns and Turbo Grannies. Makes sense. Direct massage of the heart. Cool idea, actually. She's really operating the smartphone like an old person, right? Just taking it. Cool detail. She really is a granny, isn't she? Uh, yeah, I fully was expecting the Silky to do something like that. To give up her life, to resurrect Aira, or to tell them some sort of a way to resurrect her that only she can do, or something along those lines. I fully expected something like that. Aira's aura is almost gone. Okay, so she wasn't really hurt on like a physical level, where she went through so much trauma that her heart stopped. She went through like spiritual trauma that removed her aura, and now there isn't enough like life force inside of her to keep her body alive. But inject aura into her, and her body is perfectly working, and it's just gonna restart once it gets enough life force back, right? Something along those lines. Okay, makes sense. This is cool. This is cool. I really like that they didn't go for any sort of trust me, bro, for any sort of we have no other way but to trust her, or Aira is dead one way or another, and this gives us a chance to revive her, so might as well try, right? They didn't go for anything like that. Instead, Silky proved that she can be trusted. Their concern was she's gonna eat Aira. Well, now I'm not gonna be able to. Ripped her jaw open. Shows her devotion. Yeah, she legitimately only wants to help Aira. Now I can't eat people anymore. Yeah. Gotta make the choice. And Okarun can be a bit of a safeguard. And a full proper transformation. Okay, so the teeth kind of like grow out of the back of his head and then close in up front as his shirt gets lifted up and becomes ephemeral, and he becomes a hunchback. Uh, how do you do that? Yeah, just connect the auras and become the conduit. And this is, I'm assuming, Momo living through this story, although probably both Momo and Aira, right? Momo being the conduit here, and Aira being the recipient. Yeah, that is a lab hotel. You can clearly see that. There is tissues, there is a phone with some other options, there is a very red lighting. It's just a single room. Timer, of course, right? The dude paid for like half an hour or whatever. She set the timer to half an hour. Yeah. And that's the dress she bought her daughter in the end, isn't it? It's the same exact dress. And all she's been doing was to support her dream of becoming a ballerina or whatever. That's a very child-looking child, for the lack of a better term, right? Like, often in anime, children are basically just scaled down adults, kinda. Like, the proportions are different, right? Their head might be a little bit bigger, but other than that, they are basically scaled down adults. This looks like a proper child, complete with missing teeth, with pigtails, with this childish smile, with a plumpy face, with her eyebrows not like fully thickened up yet. Great. Amazing, actually. Yeah, she picked up cleaning and then training with her daughter, working at a konbini, and for that money she was able to buy her some shoes, ballerina shoes. Timer again. But this time it's toothbrush timer or something like that, probably. Yeah, something like that. Lots of photos. The dress, of course. Observing her growth. Being the best mother she could possibly be. Honestly. No regrets, really. She did the most she could with whatever means she had. And it's not like they were starving. It's not like they were wearing rags, right? She managed to give her daughter a good life, ultimately. Which, yeah, hard to do in her situation, but ultimately a good thing. Probably debt collectors, right? Gotta be. Just casually kidnapping her daughter, which uh, kinda, sorta, little bit breaks my suspension of disbelief. A little bit, right? Like, I know that child trafficking is absolutely a thing, but I really don't think they would be able to take her daughter just like that without the school maybe starting some investigation, or right? I don't think so. Unless Japan is a completely lawless country, which I don't think it is. Actually, I'm gonna look up really quick. Japan child trafficking. Is it like a pervasive problem? Mm. US spotlights Japan shortcomings in latest human trafficking report. Efforts mount in Japan to counter human trafficking. Okay, so it is somewhat of an issue at least. Okay, so now I'm finding it a little bit more believable. Still weird to see that, like, no neighbor reacted to it. She didn't call the police first thing or something like that. I mean, she wasn't thinking clearly, right? The only thing that was on her mind is retrieving her daughter. She didn't have the clarity of mind to pick up the phone and call 911 or whatever is the police number in Japan. 112, I believe, or 111, something like that. And this is part of the scene that we've seen at the very beginning of the episode, which neatly ties the character of this mother into the character of Silky and tells us directly that they are one and the same. Dancing in the rain. And I don't fully know what's going on here exactly. I have two interpretations. either this is already the afterworld, or like a barrier between worlds, right? The world of the living and the world of the dead, and she's dancing on the barrier between them, right? With a on like a mirror-like surface of water. That like mirror is often used to portray the barrier between worlds. So this is something like that. She's dancing on the edge of it, and then she falls through the surface. Or another interpretation is that with her mind so broken after the loss of her daughter, she did the last dance in some fountain in a park on some sort of a hill and then threw herself off in a suicide attempt. Last thing she saw before death was her daughter saying thank you. Yeah, the hair. It's not hair. This is a crane, and this is like the crane thing. I thought that those might have been her hair, like caught into something as she was falling onto the ground or something like that, but no. Yeah, now she is dead, I think. But right now, just a soul with regrets tied to the world, not a Silky yet. Why was Ira able to see her? That's a very good question, isn't it? I'm gonna note down a couple of theories. Where is DANDADAN? There it is. Children can see spirits, or Ira was already special as a kid and could see spirits, or Silky's longing for a daughter and Ira's longing for a mother is what caused them to see each other. That's also an idea. Silky's longing for daughter and Ira's longing for mother is what allowed them to see each other. Yeah. I think this is the most sound theory so far. Her father doesn't seem to see her, which basically confirms that she is dead right now. I'm willing to bet that if her father saw even if it's just a random woman, but she's covered in wounds and blood, he would have reacted somehow. Even if it was grabbing Ira and running, he would have reacted. The crowd around would have reacted. Nobody did though, which means pretty much certainly that she's a ghost. And Ira's mother, of course, died somehow. Yeah, meeting with Ira reawakened her memories of her lost daughter, and that's how she became a Silky. Makes perfect sense, actually. Can't remember what was the being that is born of a mother who lost their child. Let me look it up. No, all I'm getting is just lists, and I'm not gonna go through an entire list just to find a single being like that. No, those are deities, and it's not a deity, it's a paranormal being of some sort. Okay, last link. No, not this one. Not this one. Not this one. Not this one either. Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna spend more time on it. But there are plenty of myths and legends about women losing their children and turning into some sort of a being. Yeah, let's not hurt her anymore. Let's not add to her pain. She more than made up for what pain she inflicted on Aira already and everybody else here. And she's dying anyway, so there's no need. Last moment of clarity. Can't even control my own emotions. I've turned into a monster, so I will end it all now. Again, something very common in things like that, where a spirit, evil spirit, or an evil monster who was created because of some regrets on Earth, in the last moment, as the regrets are done, fulfilled, or whatever, or right before they are destroyed and go to the void or whatever, they return back to their human form or retain their sanity or something like that to say their last goodbyes. Or rise like a battery, yeah. And Granny is of course completely nonplussed because to her it's just random little ghost thing that's not even worth bother. And Aira, Momo, and Ken are Okarun, sorry, are just stupid kids who took away her powers, so she's not bothered by any of it. She's leaving her regrets behind. She won't be able to rest in peace, yeah. The void. Nothing will be left of her. Still a better prospect than eternal damnation. So there is at least that, right? There is at least that to find solace in, that even if there is some spirit, some ghost that they're gonna have to fight and destroy instead of allowing it to fulfill their earthly regrets and say goodbyes and whatnot, at least they're just gonna go into the void. They're just gonna stop existing instead of being tortured eternally or something, or being eternally tied to Earth but not being able to interact with anything ever, or something like that, right? There's at least that to take solace in. The living and the dead, everyone will forget about her. Does it include her daughter, wherever she is right now, forgetting about her mother? Possibly. But that would kinda remove her memory of how she ended up where she is. Creates a little bit of a paradox, I guess, but whatever. Yeah, I'm sure her life was worthless anyway. Classic Turbo Granny. Something to let her rest in peace, yeah. It's up to her heart. It's not something you can do. You can't light a candle or draw a magic circle and cut her ties with this earthly realm or anything like that. No. Until she herself believes that she has nothing left on Earth, she's gonna cling to it. The regret is gonna stay and she's gonna go to the void. There's nothing strangers can do. What about the daughter, though? Very cool moment. For a while, I even thought that Aira might actually be her daughter, right? Just adopted and grown up or something like that, but I don't think it's the case. Her mother looked pretty much exactly like her, which I think might have been the goal in showing us Aira's mother's body in the coffin, so that we are able to see that yes, she was her biological mother, so that there are no doubts that this girl is not Aira. It's some other child. You were, yeah. Regrets, of course. And yeah, just like that. Calling her mommy. I was not incorrect in my initial prediction that she will be freed from her earthly regrets by Aira finally calling her mommy. Yeah, I was the happiest person in the universe. I love you. Please, so that nobody ever hurts them, take them to a more fortunate, kinder world. Is she talking to whatever higher power about Silky? Or is she talking to Silky as in become a spiritual guide that guides the souls from this realm into the afterworld? I don't know. Probably the former. I won't forget, I swear. I did not expect the ED, the ending, to happen right here. I expected something more. But I think having something more would kind of ruin the gravitas of the moment, right? Like if we had Aira turn around and ask Momo and Okarun what the fuck just happened, or right, if we had anything like that, it would really ruin the gravitas of the moment. So it's better as it is. I'd still much rather they gave us an episode specific ending. Like, how cool would it be if we were to have the piano music that played during Silky's dance, or some new piano piece, maybe like Swan Lake or whatever, right? And black screen and photos from Silky spending time with her daughter, and why not Aira spending time with her mom when she was alive, right? Kind of a juxtaposition of the two, or something of the sort. It really would have been so much better. But that's basically my only criticism of this episode, that they could have done the ending better. They really could have. But it is what it is. I've got this funny feeling. I got a feeling, ooh, that tonight's gonna be a good night, right? That's how it went. I don't know. I don't know the lyrics to that. Yeah. That was a good episode. That was a good episode. I always like this sort of a subversion in an episode, where they start with an epic fight of epicness, and look how fun it is, holy shit, the damage, the attack, god damn it, Super Saiyan 17, right? And then you start crying because it turns out that the enemy was not really an enemy. They were mind controlled or whatever, and now they are dying, and you can't help that. Or right? I always like this sort of a reversal, because it makes you think. It really makes you think that maybe not every antagonist is a villain of their own story. That maybe just indiscriminately killing whatever obstacles are on the way is not necessarily the way of a hero. That maybe we should be looking for other ways rather than just blowing the ghost up with Okarun's full throttle. That maybe there is a story behind every spirit because they had to have become a spirit somehow. That there is more to the world and more to the beings we face. And it's not cut and dry, and it's not as simple as I'm gonna hold them with my green hands and you, Okarun, smash them, right? I like it. I like it. I really do. It really sets this show apart from another thing that sets this show apart from a regular everyday battle shonen or whatever, right? Cool. I like it. This show really seems to be I don't want to say the pinnacle of every genre, but kinda sorta. But what it does instead, I think, is it shows how different genres can be improved so much by full and proper inclusion of other genres, in a way, right? How a mystery show can be improved by adding action. How an action show can be improved by adding tragedy. And not doing any of that in a, cheap way. Not doing tragedy being we met Blorbo in episode 7, but Blorbo is dead in episode 8. You should care and you should cry. Right? It's a very cheap trick, and many shows, many stories do that. They introduce a random Blorbo whose entire sole purpose is to die because we can't kill the main cast. Right? It shows that all the other kinds of shows that this one is can be improved by romance, but also not done half-assedly, not throwing in a harem or cheap ecchi or whatever. How all of that can be improved with comedy, but not cheap jokes and toilet humor and slapstick and unfunny mascots, but rather perfectly aimed jokes and funny moments that know when they could happen and when things should be treated seriously. Right? It really shows, it's really a great example of the fact that mixing genres is good. As long as you don't half-ass them. As long as what you're writing is an action shonen with romance, or action shonen slash romance, and not action shonen, but the main character has a harem, right? If you're writing a tragic comedy, it should be tragic and it should be comedic, not a comedy with random ass fucking tragedy thrown in every now and then, nor a tragedy with a random joke that doesn't land because the moment is serious, right? Good. I like it. I really do like it. Especially after this episode. It really shows how DANDADAN treats itself not just seriously, but with a certain reverence almost, that the author and whoever is involved in the production treat it with respect and don't intend to half-ass it. It's not something where the author was writing a battle shonen but then got feedback from their editor that it could use some comedy, and they quickly hastily wrote in random character who's the butt of every joke and comic relief, but ultimately it's just a battle shonen, right? No, everything merges perfectly together, and it's executed really well in the show as it is, which shows reverence from the team who makes it. Yeah, it's honestly one of the best things that happened to anime since Frieren, at least. Really. If I were to name shows that deserve the first place on my anime list, certainly would be Frieren and DANDADAN. Full Metal Brotherhood can give up the second place. DANDADAN should be at least there, honestly. Anything else? Right, a couple of theories that I did not note down. Ira gets Silky's powers, right? She has her aura, just like Okarun has Turbo Grannies. And another theory is that Serponians also have some backstory. Serponians and other aliens also have a backstory, right? There is something more to what they're doing, I think. At this point, I really don't think that this show would contain any sort of one-dimensional flat antagonist whose sole purpose is just to be antagonistic. There's going to be levels and dimensions to everybody here. And this episode really showed that we can be pretty much sure of that. Yeah, it's good. DANDADAN is an amazing romance, amazing action show, amazing drama, amazing everything. Amazing comedy, really. Yeah. Now we're gonna have to look for the second ball. and yeah, and then you realize that all of what happened here, all the tragedy and whatnot, was driven by Okarun losing his balls. And this is the beauty of this show. It's completely bonkers fucking insane, but makes you engaged and invested, and makes you treat it seriously despite the ridiculous premise. Such a good show. Such an amazing fucking show. They could have done better with the ending, though. I gotta say. My only criticism of the episode. But yeah, right now, I think that's gonna be it from me for today, but maybe you guys have something more to add on the topic of this episode, of my reaction, my theories, whatever else. No spoilers, please. As always, spoilers can go to my Discord if you'd like. Like the video if you like it, subscribe to be notified of future videos, not only DANDADAN, but also Shangri-La, Frontier, Ari, Fureta, Mahonare, Mecha Ude, Mao 2099. I'm gonna catch up to them, I promise. And click the bell to be notified when those videos go up and when I go live, because I do stream sometimes. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now, with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB, Zeraina, Dr. Watt, Akamasar, Marsh, Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want without having to... I don't fucking know, really.